Our top story this hour. The US Justice Department has indicted 13 Russian nationals over alleged meddling in America's 2016 presidential election. However, Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein says these charges don't mean any alleged Russian meddling altered the election's outcome. RT's Caleb Morpin reports.
It's being widely reported that these individuals, 13 Russian individuals, as well as 3 Russian entities, are being charged with meddling in the U.S. election. But if you actually read the indictment, there are specific charges. There's no such crime under the U.S. federal law known as meddling. At this point, they're being charged with conspiracy to defraud the United States, as well as violations of the Federal Elections Commissions Act and the Foreign Agents Registration Act. Essentially, it's alleged that these 13 people, as well as 3 entities, purchased advertisements on social media, engaged in some bank transactions, and tried to influence the elections of the United States. They supposedly were disparaging Hillary Clinton and favoring Donald Trump. This is just the latest in the ongoing Bob Mueller special counsel investigation being conducted by the Department of Justice into allegations that Trump allegedly colluded with Russia during the presidential elections, and that Russia is somehow responsible for the election results. Now, at this point, there has already been testimony before the U.S. Congress about the impact of these alleged Facebook ads and how they may have determined the elections. This is some of what we heard before the U.S. Congress, showing that the impact of these ads may not be as broad as some of the mainstream media reports seem to hint.
They found portals into our society.
Russia has harnessed the tremendous and, quite frankly, to me, frightening power of social media.
Their goal is to divide us and discredit our democracy.
They are using our own social networks, our friendships, our families, and our biases and viewpoints against us.
It has spread like wildfire.
We determined that the number of accounts we could link to Russia and that were tweeting election-related content was comparatively small.
Aggregate, these ads and posts were a very small fraction of the overall content on Facebook. But any amount is too much.
These videos mostly had low view counts.
Now, the indictments serve almost as de facto sanctions against the individuals and entities listed. While these individuals won't be apprehended in Russia and taken to the USA, they certainly won't be traveling to the United States. They'll be unable to set up bank accounts and such. So these are almost serving as de facto sanctions. We do have a response to today's indictments from the spokesperson for the Russian Foreign Ministry.
Turns out there were 13 of them, according to the US Justice Department. 13 people were meddling in the US election, 13 against the billion-dollar budgets of the intelligence agencies, against the intelligence and counterintelligence, against the state-of-the-art technologies. Absurd? Yes. But this is America's modern political reality. By the way, why 13? Apparently, that's the only number with bad associations, and that's their only hope.
At this point, we also have a response from the President of the United States, Donald Trump, who earlier was briefed by the Department of Justice prior to their releasing of this indictment. Now, Donald Trump stated on Twitter, he said Russia started their anti-U.S. campaign in 2014, long before I announced that I would run for president. The results of the election were not impacted, and the Trump campaign did nothing wrong, and he repeated the phrase he's often used throughout the process. He repeated the phrase, ending his tweet with "no collusion." Furthermore, we have have a statement from the White House press secretary on behalf of the White House in which they urged Americans to unite against what they called bad actors, saying that Americans must unite to protect the integrity of democracy and elections, urging folks to not focus on the divisions and the allegations of collusion, but rather focus on uniting against Russia. So at this point, now we have also heard in Russian media there has been a response from the individual named in the indictment and called kind of the mastermind. The first individual listed in the indictment has responded saying that Americans are very impressionable and that if you want to find a devil, it's easy to find one. So this is a wide-ranging response from the world. We've heard from Trump, we've heard from the individuals indicted, we've heard from the Russian Foreign Ministry. Everyone responding to this move by the U.S. Department of Justice.
Well, legal and media analyst Lionel doesn't believe there's any substance to the indictment.
It reads like a narrative without there being any crimes. There's something in law in our country called a demurrer, which you file that basically says, oh yeah, so what? What does this mean? They wanted to, quote, sow discord by breaking into elections? No. Stealing the numbers? No. Changing the numbers? No. Voter fraud? No. But by merely providing information through advertisements and listings and social media accounts that were shared by Americans, far worse in their tenor, but basically ideas. In fact, they made it very clear today, this is my favorite, that there is no evidence of this affecting the election at all. But I have never seen, out of a 37-page indictment, such lyrical, sweeping, prosaic narratives about this one did this and this one, without saying this is against the law.